Hello, this is Ingrid. Thank you so very much for visiting my YouTube channel today. For those of you who are new to the process, I welcome you and I thank you for stopping in. You could have chosen another channel, you could have chosen another video, but you're here. Something about the topic or something brought you here, and I'm truly grateful to have you. Welcome. For those of you who are returning to the process and keep on watching the videos, thank you. Today we're going to talk about identity and self-identity and your true selves. In my line as a life coach, one of the things I do with my new clients is I have them do a specific exercise which allows me to see who they are. I get an overall picture of the inner core and I get an overall picture of the manifestations of the things that affect their core. And throughout that exercise, I have learned that most people tend to believe that their behavior is the same as their character. And because most people tend to believe that their behavior is the same as their character, they act as though the manifestations of the things on the outside are really who they are, and it creates a conflict, actually. It creates a conflict in the individual because the individual is at odds with themselves. Your behavior is totally different from your character. Your character is not who or what you choose to display in that moment. Just because you may be weak in a moment does not mean that you're a weak person. But many people tend to assimilate this information and think, oh, because I acted weak in a moment, that means I must be a weak person. Not truth. And that's the other word that needs to come into play when you're talking about self-identification. How much of what you tell yourself is truth? How much of what you put into your environment is truth? How much of what you rely on is truth? What's your narrative? What do you tell yourself? There's an exercise that I have, again, people perform, and that exercise is, tell me your narrative. What do you say about yourself? Not what other people say about you. What are you saying about yourself? What do you believe to be truth? And most of the times when people start telling me their narratives, one of the things I realize is half that stuff is not true. Half of that stuff is contrived. It is based on their behavior, not their true character. How can your true character flourish if you insulate in your behavior and think that your behavior is who you are, is the sum of who you are? That's where a lot of people go wrong. So you have to distinguish between your behavior and your character. Your character is who you are, the core of your essence, and your behavior is a manifestation of the things that you do based on environmental factors, based on, growing up in a certain household, that is, or cultural things that may impact your behavior. It doesn't mean it's who you are. How do you find out who you are? You do a lot of self-analysis and you do self-introspection, and you become honest. You tell the truth. The first thing you need to do is to be truthful to yourself. It's okay if you lie to other people, but it becomes a real issue when you start lying to yourself and then you get caught up in your own lie and forget who you are. Most of us have done that. Don't laugh. You know you've done it, and you know you're still doing it right now. You're caught up in the lie that you created to make others think that you were something other than you weren't, or something that you wanted to be. Wishful thinking. What happens is a deterioration in your character, because now your behavior and your character, they're in conflict with each other. So how do we sort out this mess that you're creating? First, as I said, lots of introspection and analysis, but you can be analytical as much as you want. There's some people for whom the analytical process becomes a tedious journey down a path or a rabbit hole to no end. Some people are so analytical that they don't know how to stop the analysis. So I'm not asking you to peruse or to open up a whole bunch of analytical processes that you will get further lost in. What I'm asking you to do is, when you're analyzing yourself, ask yourself these questions. Am I a liar? Do I lie to myself? That's the first thing you have to ask yourself. It's okay. Nobody's around you. Nobody's looking at you. This is for you. This is for you to go down a path where it begins on truth. If you're not truthful with yourself, and I keep on repeating myself here, if you don't tell yourself the truth, chances are you're going to be unable to tell anybody else the truth. And at some point, your inability to tell the truth cements you in your own misery. You start feeling miserable because nobody truly sees you as you are. All they see is a manifestation or behavior that is contradictory to who you are. Write it down. What are your character traits? Are you good? Are you kind? Are you loving? I mean, the moment you start seeing a lot of negative character traits, then you realize something is wrong with this picture. I have been negatively influenced. My character has been compromised. Something is wrong with me. And then that leads you down a further road to not just analysis, but then introspection. Why am I this way? Why did I become this way? Why do I do the things that I do? And once you start going down that route, then you start finding answers. The answers come because you have to answer your own questions, unless you have refused to for so long that you choose to not anymore. If you have made a choice and you don't care about the person you've become, a lot of people get to that point. They're like, well, I've been this person for so long that is no, I don't have to question that anymore. This is who I am. There are certain things that define a person. There are certain character traits that every person would love to possess. Everyone is not the same, but there's a barometer, a measurement of what is truly a good character, and there's a barometer of who is not a good character. Find out which one you are. Find out what you need to do to improve, to self-improve, because self-improvement can only bring better results. Your identity is a foundation. It's like building a house. What kind of house are you building? This is a biblical concept, of course, but what kind of house are you building? And do you recognize that the house you're building, the foundation is your self-identity? If your self-identity is compromised and you build that house, the whole house is compromised. That's the biblical analogy, but it's truth. So how do you differentiate from character and behavior? My behavior is what I do or my reaction and response to something. My behavior is not who I am, because behavior can always change, especially if it's learned. If it's learned behavior, it can also be unlearned. So nothing is written in stone. You're not written in stone. Isn't that a good thing to hear? That who you believe you are today is not something that cannot be changed. It's not something that you cannot work on. You don't have to be appear as a fraud anymore. You don't have to be a sellout anymore. You don't have to do things that you don't want to do. There's choice. There's choice, and choice leads to change. And change leads to a better you. My name is Ingrid. I am so glad you joined me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Encourage others to do the same. You can visit my website, which is thejourneyoftruth.com, for more information on how to get in touch with me. I do individual sessions as well as group sessions. And I would love to hear your comments. Also, please write your comments below. Let me know how I'm doing. And if there's anything else you want to hear about, please share it with me. Again, thank you for coming and have a great day.